Hi, I'm Aaron and I'm a Norse pagan, and welcome to the hipster of Odin. Today in this video I thought to myself we might as well come out to my, well, it's more of an altar tree. So you know, I have an altar inside of my own house and it's where I keep a lot of my, it's more of a spiritual museum of all my spiritual objects. However, I actually have a tree and I'd like to actually personally show you. I'm actually currently sitting down right now because I wanted to start the video me sitting down, but I might as well just show you. So this is the tree that I use for outside rituals, and you can see a bunch of my spiritual items down there. And legitly, my apartment is legitly just here. This is my apartment over there. And this is also a place where I typically keep like prayer ribbons and stuff like this. So this is the place where I've kind of like placed a lot of my prayer ribbons. And I'm not entirely sure if the camera will pick it up, but there's a prayer ribbon there and there's a prayer ribbon just over there. And I keep like, I put intentions on prayer ribbons, place it to my head, place it to my heart, and then place it on the actual tree. Now, I did actually have like a stick that actually was on my altar a long time ago, and then I transformed my altar and changed my altar, and I decided to stick that stick, and it's actually roughly about here. You see like a stick that goes all the way through the middle of this actual tree, and that's because I took that stick off of my altar and actually placed it into this sacred tree, making it sacred. Now, what I'm about to do today is a ritual next to this outside altar that I have here, right next to my apartment, to give an offering to the ancestors and to just give thanks to them and to be at peace with them at some time. So this is how the ritual would actually go, and I'm not actually editing any of my videos at this moment in time because my Photoshop decided not to work. So I decided, instead of editing my videos, I want to make my videos organic as possible. So if there is disruptions in here, if there is mistakes that I make, then you can see how human I am, and I'm not just this person who's trying to put on an act or anything like this. So in order to do this ritual, I decided to realize that I'm not going to wear a hat doing this. I personally feel like, yes, this hat is brilliant, it makes me look like Odin with one eye. However, I personally feel like maybe I just need to take it off and be respectful to the ancestors and the spirits of this land. So I'll probably place my hat just up here. Let's see if this branch will actually take the weight. It did. Look at that. Tree loves my hat too. So to start this ritual off, I decided we're going to be giving to the ancestors, and the item that I'm going to show here is, this is a crystal castle that my nan gave me when she died. And this is a crystal castle. She had many crystal objects. She had a frog collection, a crystal collection, and when I was a kid I always used to say something about her crystal collection, and she gave me this as a gift when she died. And it means a lot to me. It reminds me of my nan, and we actually will be communicating to my nan. So where this is actually going to go, I'm going to place this in an area of the tree. There's a bit of the bottom. So there's a bit of the bottom. I'm going to place this at the base of the tree. The next thing I'm going to be using is one way of giving alcoholic beverages. So as I said before, this chalice is made of onyx. And what I've learned about onyx is that onyx is a crystal. Now you can place the offering of alcohol in there, and then you can place your hands over it. And what happens is that when we have an intention, our intentions come from our mind, passes through our body, goes into the onyx. Whatever alcohol or offering that goes in the chalice, it gets charged by our intentions and our thoughts. And then when you give it as an offering, you're not just giving an offering, you're giving the energy from within, radiating through your body, channeling through the onyx, and being blessed into the alcohol, and then being given with the intention to the gods, the ancestors, and the spirits. So where I'll be placing this chalice, a chalice that I can't drink from, I'll be placing it next to the ancestral kind of like crystal castle over there. Another thing that we're going to be using is a bag of runes. I've showed this bag of runes in my Odin video that I did yesterday. And this is a bag of runes from Northenblack, and I love these runes. I love how that you can put your whole hand. I love this kind of feeling that you can open the bag, you can legitimately stick your whole entire hand in there. Now, I don't even know what rune I'm going to pass out, but you know what? I'm going to say one intention that I'll be placing into this hand, into the bag, and it's, what will I achieve from this ritual? Now let's see. What will I get from this ritual? The rune I pull out is throughthe. So this represents masculine strength and forward going, and also represents Tyr, which is some sort of sacrifice, and Tyr sacrificing his arm. So we'll place this back in the bag and we'll thank the runes. But these runes were created by Northenblack and also created by Isaac Oakmond. You should really check out a lot of his mystery boxes. I actually got this from a mystery box as a gift from my wife, funny enough. And it was to celebrate our 4 years together. So it was a really good gift. And it's also, by that time, it was near enough Father's Day too. So it's a very good Father's Day gift. And it reminds me of using the runes. And I love the big bag. I love sticking my hands and not knowing what rune I'm going to pull out. It's the mystery of it that I love. So I'll be placing the runes over here, and that's going to be one way that I can communicate to the ancestors. Another thing that I'm going to be using to open the space, but also to close the space, is a singing bowl, because I noticed that using a singing bowl, it silences all the things around you and focuses on the present moment. And I also use it to cast runes into. You actually have like a star made of like 5 Buddhist monks. So I decided that I'll be placing this in the center, and it also comes, this is the mallet where you hit the actual singing bowl, so that's kind of cool. Next thing I'm going to be using, this is my shamanic rattle. So this is the rattle that I used also yesterday. Makes a very, very good sound. So I'll be placing this here to make things sacred and to bring forward the spirits. Another thing that I'm going to be using is also to connect with the spirits and also with the ancestors, is that I'm going to give them an offering of, like, this is like oats. So I'm going to give them an offering of oats, and this is just some oats. You can get this in a shop anywhere. It's just some oats. So to give offerings to the tree, to give offerings to the spirits of this land, and also the spirits of my garden, or the fae folk, or the fairies, or the elves, and also to give an offering of food to the ancestors, I find really does work. And it's also, nature eats this up, you know. You can put this down in the ground and nature eats this up. And I remember giving an offering just like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I gave them this and it was gone in a matter of like a few days. So I'll be placing this over here. Another thing that I'll be probably burning is, so I've got the white sage that I used in the last ritual. So I'm going to be using that. It's probably not going to be spilt the same way. You probably won't see it because my camera's facing me and not facing that way. But yeah, that's the white sage that I'm going to be using. I might also start using some of my white sage tribal cones. So this is something else that I'll be using. And yeah, that's the white sage that I'll be probably placing in the ground. I have my lighter, very trustworthy. Another offering that I want to give is this jam shed rhubarb and strawberry mash 10% alcohol. So I thought, what way can I really honor the ancestors and the spirits by giving them a nice beverage? Now, at the end of the day, Jacob Todson has put me on this 30-day challenge where I have to watch my diet. So I can't just drink alcohol whenever I want. This has been processed. I can't have that. Not until this 30 days is up, and I've got maybe like 3 or 2 days left, and then after that, I can probably at least eat ice cream again. I could probably at least drink a beer again that I do really miss. So yeah, it's worth a sacrifice, it's worth an offering. And I remember the last time I tried this, it was very, very refreshing. And I think that the ancestors and the spirits will really appreciate that too. So I'll place that next to me here. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is that this is another way of giving like prayers to the ancestors and the spirits without talking. Now this here is an Irish tin whistle. I actually got it from Ireland, shipped over, but it reminds me of my Irish ancestors. So when I play this, I'm pretty sure that my Irish ancestor, also known as Minnie, that was her name, my great-great-grandmother, she will probably hear this and be like, I'm not like, this is actually really cool that you're playing this. It will be something that reminds her of her childhood. And you know, when I'm a kid, we were always forced to play the recorder, and I actually spoke to someone who is actually Irish, and they didn't play the recorder. They actually played an Irish tin whistle that looks exactly like this. So it's one way of connecting to my Irish ancestors and connecting to them who came before me. So instead of me blabbering on about everything that I'm doing, I'm just going to get on with the ritual. So we first start off with the white sage, and it's probably best if I scoop myself over. As I said before, I'm not editing any of my videos, not anymore. So this is going to be as organic as I could probably make it, hopefully. And I just want to show you the process of how I do a ritual. So I get some white sage like this, and you remember in the last ritual that I did where I said an intention, and that intention was placed on the sage and then burns into the senses around me. Well, I'm kind of going to be doing the same thing, but with this white sage. And I promise I'm not here to burn anything, so don't get any wrong ideas. But what I'm going to be doing is lighting this and putting an intention on it, and giving some form of offering in the thoughts of prayers from within to without. So we do as the great Constantine would have done. Flick that open, light the lighter, and it is going to take a bit of time because it's just going to light up. It's just about doing it now. There you go. We've got flame, everyone. We've got some flame. Now we've got some flame, we've got some fire. We think about the intention. So my intention that I wish to place on this flame is the intention of communicating with my ancestors and finding peace with them and their guidance and communication with them. How to the ancestors who came before. And then I ignite the space by legitly placing the sage around it, blessing everything. And you know, sage, white sage is also very known, very, very good for cleansing. So is tobacco smoke. Tobacco smoke is very, very good for cleansing, long as you're not the one breathing it in because it's very unhealthy. But you know, if you're, you know, like in Ecuador or Peru, they would use tobacco smoke and they'll breathe it down your back, they'll breathe it all over your head, and that'll be a way of cleansing. Well, white sage is also another purer way of cleansing. And then you can cleanse yourself, cleanse the head, cleanse your body, cleanse everything that you are, because you're coming to the spirits. You might as well be pure as them. You know, they became pure when they came to their death. So it only makes sense to become pure before the spirits. So I place one sage over there, and then I pick up another sage. And I don't know why I picked up another sage. I've got one there. Might as well use all of them if I wanted to. Pick another thing up like that. Burn some sage. If you realise I'm going a bit quiet, it's because you know, I want things to go well in this one. There we go, we got some flame. We place an intention. This intention I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to think as I watch the flame. I blow it out, and then I purificate myself by putting this around my head 3 times to remind myself of the norms of past, present and future. I put the sage around me. I place the sage around all the things that I'm going to use for the ritual, including the runes, my bag of runes, and then I place this sage stick down over here, hoping not to burn anything in the process, because that will be a disaster, that, and I don't want to burn anything, so that will be fine there. So this white sage also blesses and cleanses the area, and also blesses yourself. You know, it's one way of cleansing yourself, is being around white sage in itself is a cleansing instrument. And then you breathe that white sage in, cleansing yourself before you come before the spirits and the ancestors. And then I place one sage in front of the ritual place that I'm going to be doing. And there we have the past, the present, and the future. I'll bring the camera a little bit more further so you see less of me and you see more of the ritual at hand, which I find to be more interesting than me and my boring old face. So, this is how we're going to do the ritual. So we first start off here with my singing bowl, and we're going to open up the space now by playing a singing bowl. So once we've made things silent, we simply use the rattle and whistle. And then we simply just talk to the ancestors of the Staris family, to the ancestors of the Freeman family. I welcome you here, for these are my ancestors that are within my own blood. To my Nanny Marge, I welcome you here. I have a crystal castle that you had and you gave me as a gift for when you died, and you wrote within your will. To my great-great-grandmother, also known, I don't know if that's too many greats, and I do apologize, to my great-great-grandmother, also known as Minnie, I present this kind of, it's kind of like a Irish tin whistle thing that I will be playing for you and for the ancestors to remind me of you and also to communicate to you. So to my ancestors, to Minnie, to Nanny Marge, and I know the Auntie Rita and Uncle Ron, I know that we're not blood related, but you were just as much as ancestors to me than anyone by blood. So I also welcome you here, Rita Boxall. I also welcome you here, Ronald Boxall. I also welcome you here, Margaret Staris, which is my nan, and my Nanny Minnie. I welcome you all here to this sacred gathering of giving offerings to the ancestors. And I give you an alcoholic beverage of jam shed rhubarb strawberry mash, 10% alcohol, that I will gladly give to you as an offering and as a gift. And I welcome you here to the space, and I give you this offering. Hail to the ancestors. And as I said before, I can only sniff it, so if you wonder what it smells like, it smells really, really nice. I just can't have it, unfortunately. To the ancestors, I also give you an offering, and to the spirits of this land, I also give you an offering. So to my ancestors, I give you an offering of oats, and I present this before you. And to the spirits of this land, with my thoughts of my head and my feelings and my emotions of my heart, I give you this offering, and I spread this all around so that you also may have an offering of food and sustenance. using the shamanic rattle to kind of like bring a sense of like not just ambience, but a sense of respect, peace to this land. So to my ancestors, I wish to play on this Irish tin flute, an offering of sound to you, a song that comes from within, but not a song that comes with words, a song that comes with intentions that comes from within. And only you know how I feel, my ancestors. Oh, that did actually take the breath out of me, but also connect me even further. To my ancestors, I thank you for your presence. I thank you for being here with me. And I ask you, ancestors, I ask to communicate with you using these sacred symbols and these sacred runes. I'm actually doing most of my cameraman activities on my own today. Jamie is having a day off, and everyone deserves a day off. You know, we don't really have... I'm more of an amateur photographer, and I really like it when someone holds the camera, so I'm not used to doing this. But I'm very grateful for having a friend like my best friend Jamie, who is an epic cameraman, and you should go and check him out on his Instagram, also known as Corpolex. Brilliant guy. Best friend. We've been friends for a long time, ever since we were kids until now. He's best friend I ever had. Now, I'm getting distracted, so we'll be using these runes, also Northenblack runes. So, to my ancestors, I call forth 3 runes, of which we can communicate, and then I'll take a book about runes and communicate further with them. So, I mix up these runes, not knowing what I might receive. And I place my hand, taking 3 runes. What would you like me to work on? What would you like me to do? And what would you like me to receive? First one is what I need to work on. Okay. So I need to work on my hope and my destiny. That's one rune that I need to work on. Okay? The next rune will represent what have I already received. I think, is that what I said? I'm not entirely sure. I get very forgetful of the things that I say just in the moment, but never in the time of the memory of things. So, in the present moment, what have I already done? Okay, at this present moment in time, I have had Swillau, which is great victory. So this represents great victory. So that guy's Swillau, hope and destiny is the great victory. And the last one, I'll let the ancestors decide what that is. Last rune is also known as Radau. And Radau represents travel, rhythm, and path. So I place these runes in the center, and you'll probably see that. This is where I place the runes in the center of this singing bowl to represent a sense of a sense of giving, offering, and thanks. And this is kind of the ritual setup. You can kind of see there's the crystal castle there. You see the offering given to the ancestors, an offering given to the spirits, an alcoholic beverage offering. So it's one way of giving thanks. So now I take these runes out of this bowl and I place it to my head and I say, thank you, ancestors, for your communication. I bring it to my heart and I say, thank you for your communication, great ancestors. And then I place these runes back in the bag and talk to the runes as if they are a living person. I say, thank you, runes, for your wisdom and your insight and your intellect. How to you, great runes of wisdom, knowledge of the universe and mind. Skull. And after giving thanks to these runes, I close the rune bag and place them next to the sage to be purified once again. So now we close the ritual by playing the singing bowl, by doing this. And then we simply say thank you to the ancestors for letting them join us on this very, very nice day of giving offerings to them. To my ancestors, I thank you for joining me today. I thank you for spending time with me. I thank you that even though that you may no longer be here anymore, that we may be able to spend time with you, communicating with runes, communicating using this flute, and communicating just in general to the higher realms that are all around us. I give you this offering, my ancestors, to all the ancestors that I spoke here today, as an offering of alcohol, of 10% volume, of Jamshed, and I give this to you as an offering. How to the ancestors that came before, how to the ancestors who birthed ourselves into existence, how to my ancestors, skull. I simply just pour this into the earth, into the ground, and then it soaks into the earth. And as it soaks into the earth, it soaks into our ancestors who are in the earth. In a way of giving thanks to everything, bringing everything back to a sense of cleansing and sacredness, because cleansing is very important. What I'm about to do now is use this white sage to bless all the items that I've used in this ritual. So we first start off with the crystal castle. We place over the white sage and cleanse it. This is how we can cleanse things. There's many ways of cleansing. So we do our past and our future, the present moment. And this is my way of cleansing. 3 norms represent the 3 towers of white sage. And then once this is purified, I place it to the side. I purify this singing bowl. And the mallet that I used. I purify these runes. I purify this shamanic rattle that I made myself. I purify this chalice. I purify this Irish tin whistle. So after purifying everything, and this is all of my spiritual objects just down here, after purifying all these objects, I end the ritual and I close the ritual. Now, this is how I typically give offerings to my ancestors. And you may say, why do you give offerings to your ancestors? Why don't you give offerings to the gods more or stuff like this? And it's because there's something that Tyler McCormack once said to me a long time ago. He's the person who owns a company or a business on Etsy, also known as Blutforge on Instagram and, no, Blutforge as Etsy and Weirdcore on Instagram. And he taught me many things about the runes, many things about sacred symbols. And he said to me, what's the point of coming to the gods first when we can't even cherish and take respect and honor the spirits or the ancestors who came long before us? You know, first come before the ancestors first and then come to the gods. And if we can come to the same reverence as we come to the gods when we come to the ancestors, we can better explore the ancestors and be able to talk to them. And, you know, talking to the gods is very much like talking to the ancestors. You basically say to all of your ancestors, you basically say, what I typically do is that I say to my ancestors by the name of my dad and to the ancestors to the name of my mum. And I basically say they're both my blood groups that makes me as a person, not that makes my son, but what makes me. And I communicate to them ancestors. And then the ancestors that you know, I basically simply say their name. And by saying their name, it gives reverence to that particular ancestor that meant more to you or that you physically knew. And by giving a name, you can some way go, okay, I'm talking to this person and I want to feel something for them. I want to play something for them and to give them reverence. I want to give reverence to all of my ancestors, but by saying a particular name, you can have more of a deeper connection with them and they will simply guide you a lot more if you say the name, who they were to you, what they represent to you. And to play something that maybe they may have known when they were a child or something that they gave you when they died is a great way of finding connection with them. So yeah, the ancestors right here have taught me about hope and destiny. They've taught me a lot about these different types of runes, and I find that to be something that it's an inner journey. I notice that runes are more of an inner journey. And if you use these runes and you look at these runes and you understand what these runes mean, you can use them. A hope and destiny to be achieved, or something to work on, is my hope and destiny. And a forward masculine drive to get there is a great way to get there, you know? So I'm gonna assess these runes, I'm gonna read up on these runes, and I might make a video talking about the runes that I discovered in the forest when we gave an offering to Odin, and also what these runes from my ancestors are basically saying. I'm gonna write it all up, do some research, read a few rune books, and then once I figured that out, I will make a video talking about what these runes were really talking about, and then we'll have more of a deeper discussion about it. So if you've enjoyed this content here at the Hipster of Odin, and you wish to maybe subscribe and like this video, go ahead right now, because I love it when people just see my video and they go, you know what, I like what this man is doing, I want to do something to kind of support him and then do it myself, because that's what I really want you guys to do. Take what you've learned here and to do it yourself is something that I wish for anyone. And another thing is that if you want to leave just one small comment, I personally love seeing every different comment that goes on to my video, because I read them comments and I actually will respond to your comment. If you have any questions that you would like to learn about giving offerings to your ancestors, please put your comments down below. And if there's anything that you would like to see in the next upcoming video, maybe you would like to see a god, or for me to research about a god and give an offering to that deity, put your comments below. Any comment I will read, I'll get back to you, and I'll try and help guide you just as much as you have guided me. So, until the hall, skull.